joining me. Today's recipe is for kale and tofu stew. To get started, I gather my ingredients and then I'm going to cut up my vegetables. On the sideline, I'm having my tofu dry a little bit. I'm going to show you how to cut up kale in case you're not familiar with it. And this is curly kale. You hold on to the bottom stem and just pull it off. And on the side, I have a little container to collect my vegetable waste that will go into my compost pile. So I'm just pulling it down. Next, I want this bite-sized pieces, so I will be chopping it in both directions. Kale will lose half its volume when you're cooking it. I'm going to do another couple cuts through the kale because I really want it bite-sized. And it's okay that it's wet because we're going to be cooking it in water. So that looks pretty good to me. The next thing that we will be doing is slicing our tofu. I want it dry, so I'll dry off this a little bit. And then I'm cutting 1/2-inch slices. What I will be doing is I will be grilling it in this shape and then I'll cut it up some more. Right now I'm preheating both my skillet and my griddle. To the skillet I'm adding about 1/2 cup of water and then I'm putting my kale on top of that. It will come up to a boil and then I'll simmer it for just a couple minutes. 5 to 8. Now this griddle sounds like it's hot. You can see it bubbling. So I'm going to spray it right now and put all of my vegetables on. So at this point, just salt and pepper just a little bit. I'm not putting too much salt on it because I'll be adding vegetable bouillon, which is pretty high in salt. So the kale is boiling. I turned it down to low and I'm just going to continue to sear the vegetables and brown them. Now I have turned down the temperature on the griddle. I would like the vegetables to be brown and fork tender. The vegetables are grilled nicely. I want them a little bit softer, so I'm going to just put the lid on from the kale. And you can see how the kale has reduced about half in size. So right now, to the kale, I'm adding about 1 teaspoon of the vegetable bouillon. Stir it in. You can always add more later. Okay, the vegetables are where I would like them to be now. I'm going to just put them on top of my kale. Right now, that looks pretty awesome anyway. For right now, put the lid back on. Just let that on your lowest setting. And now, respray your griddle. And we are going to grill the tofu. And I want it to sizzle and I want it to brown. And once this gets browned, I will be turning it over. Flipping the tofu, adding a little garlic to the vegetables. I'm also adding about 1 teaspoon of this chili sauce. You can always add more as well. And then we can just stir this up while the tofu is continuing to cook. Okay, now I'm cutting this into cubes. And I'm adding about 1 teaspoon of the vegetable bouillon, and I am using aminos, but you could use soy sauce, and I'm putting probably 1 tablespoon on, mixing that together, and then I will just continue cooking this all together. It adds a little more flavoring to that tofu. Just let it keep browning. And when it starts looking like this, I'm going to turn off my burner altogether, and I'm adding just 1 tablespoon or so of water to help get that flavor into the tofu. Deglazing the griddle a little bit, and now this tofu getting placed in with the kale and the other vegetables. Stir it up gently and lightly. Yum, that looks so good. And now I am adding about 1/2 cup of this coconut milk. Not 1/2 cup, 1/2 container, which would probably be about 1/2 cup. Stir it gently. I'm going to bring it up maybe a little bit of a boil. Just turn it up a little bit. You could serve it just like this. And the smell is delicious. This is a dish that has a lot of calcium in it. Kale's very high in calcium and tofu's fairly high in calcium as well. Time to plate. So in a few minutes, you have a yummy, yummy stew. This recipe makes about 3 cups. So if you're serving it as a stew, that would certainly be probably a single serving. If you were serving it as a side dish, you know, it would go a little bit further. Now let's get a taste of that broth. Come back next week for another delicious, heartwarming It's Vegan recipe. We love you and we're so glad that you stopped by. Please like, share, and subscribe. Of course, God bless you and peace out.